Good morning. All right, so welcome everybody. We're here today to talk about intuitive eating and how we can create a more supportive environment for intuitive eating in the workplace and what it is. My name is Emma Carpenter. I'm the manager of operations for 12 Weeks to Wellness and a wellness strategist working with organizations on developing sustainable wellness programming. I'm here with Bettina Mackenbach, my colleague. So Bettina Mackenbach is a certified wellness coach, a registered dietitian extraordinaire, and she's been with 12 Weeks for many years now. She has many years working as a dietitian and coach, working with hundreds of clients every year. And many of these clients come with the same issue, as they really want to create a more positive experience and relationship with their body and food and eating. And we see this so much. We hear this so much that people are rushing through lunch. They're skipping lunch. There's a new survey that showed that 48% of people skip lunch at least once per week. Even 29% say that they block off time for lunch, but even 62% of them say that they actually don't end up using that time for a meal. And there's all sorts of reasons for why that is. It's made too many meetings, not enough time in the day. Maybe we just want to, end work a little earlier, so work in that time. But really, Bettina, what is the effect then of skipping and rushing through lunch on really employee health and productivity? What are the things that we need to take into consideration here?
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about skipping lunch. And oftentimes for some individuals, that might even mean skipping breakfast. So, I work with a lot of employees who sometimes they don't have breakfast and they don't have lunch. So their first meal is actually when they get home. And you can imagine what happens is they find themselves overeating, they're starving, and it's actually their brain that is screaming out for carbohydrates. So our brain actually cannot store glucose. Our muscles can, but our brain cannot. And so it would be a normal response actually that, when we don't have lunch and maybe we don't even have breakfast, that we would be looking for carbohydrates at night and we're looking for higher fat foods. And oftentimes that won't even stop at dinner. That might mean we eat beyond dinner, right? And then we might get digestive issues. And really, if we think about it, if we skip through lunch, we will just not be as productive and focused in the afternoon when we still have many hours to go at work. So it can really have an impact. It will really produce cravings later on, where now, as I said, we are craving those carbohydrates and fats, and it actually makes sense why that is. So there's a reason for it. And then if we think of those people that eat at their desk, so in other words, we're eating at our desk, we're multitasking, we're doing a lot of different things at a time. So we're not really paying attention to, when is the time to stop eating, and really not getting that full satisfaction out of the food. And oftentimes maybe we're eating really fast because we're doing other things. And so again, we're not digesting as well, and it's just not as satisfactory. So the interesting piece that I hear again from a lot of clients, if they're saying, well, then 20-30 minutes later after having the lunch, they're like, well, now I'm craving something sweet. Why is that? And I always tell them it's because you are not fully satiated. Well, what does that mean exactly? And so then I get into the intuitive eating and I explain it to them. Well, because you didn't eat your lunch intuitively, you didn't get satiated. Physically, you did get satiated, but not on an emotional, psychological and social level. And I'm like, well, explain that to me. And so for example, if we eat with others and we're sharing food and we're socializing, it is a very satisfying experience, right? So it's very different. And then also if we eat slowly, we're really tasting the food, we're really taking in, the smells, the sounds of the food and looking at our food and really enjoying it. Again, a much more satisfying and satiating experience, and especially when we're not rushed. So it can make an absolute difference. I always tell people, try it in a different way and tell me during our next session whether you've noticed the difference and whether you still have the cravings afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much to unpack here, Bettina. I think that the whole skipping the breakfast thing, that could be a whole other session where we talk about it, because a lot of people actually do that even purposefully as part of, fasting and, staying off and fasting for so many hours and then not eating until lunch, and what is the effect of that? But that's for a whole other session probably. So but really, if we're talking about intuitive eating, then it's really been linked to reduced stress eating, increased focus and job productivity, and also associated with fewer body image disturbances, which is really important in this context as well, because when we're looking at workplace wellness programs that have historically been very focused on weight, we're seeing a really large increase in the stigma associated with that. So intuitive eating is becoming an alternative approach to that, really, that we're seeing more in workplaces, and I'm hoping that we're going to see more and more of as well. So can you explain a little bit more, sort of briefly, but still focused on what really intuitive eating is? I know you could talk about this all day.
All right. So it was, first of all, it was developed by two dietitians. I just want to mention them because they're important. Evelyn Triboli and Elise Resch. And it was originally developed really for individuals with disordered eating or eating disorders. And it's still being used for that. It actually, as you said earlier, really helps with that body image and being more in tune versus focusing on external rules. And so when we eat intuitively, we focus on body cues, hunger and fullness versus external cues, which would be, a diet plan where the client says, hey, I want you to come up with a diet plan for me. Or they would focus on counting calories and relying on macros. So they're having very strict food rules, which is really more external focus. But with the intuitive eating, we are very aware, and we're also very intentional with what we eat, when we eat, where we eat, how we eat, who we eat with, why we eat. And intuitive eating actually distinguishes between the different types of hunger. So there's the physical hunger that we know of, it's a bodily sensation, but there's also the mouth hunger. So we keep eating because something tastes really good, and we all know about that. There's the emotional hunger. So we're eating because we feel anxious, because we feel overwhelmed. So we need to take all that into consideration. And there's no good or no bad. And all foods are okay. So again, when we're looking at the diet approach that so many people are following, because there's so much out there about what is good and what is bad, all foods are okay. And it's really about what we truly want, as long as we eat it intuitively, listening to our body cues. And I do always tell people about this 80-20 rule. 80% of your time, what you do is your lifestyle. You want to strive for doing as good as you can. And 20% is sort of that, when we have something special and we want to really enjoy, and we're going to go to a restaurant, we have a glass of wine and we have a dessert. But as you said, overall, really what intuitive eating helps with is that whole concept of, accepting your body, trusting your body. And it's really, for me, it's really an act of self-care. And I think it's a huge opportunity in the workplace of integrating that into the, overall culture in the workplace as well.
Okay, so I'm sure people are thinking, now that sounds amazing. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could do that all the time? But we're in all workplaces look different, obviously. But I'm sure a lot of people feel like, well, how would I do that? Like, my workplace just isn't designed for that. So what are some strategies employers can implement and to better support this type of eating at work then?
Yeah. So for me, the first step is always education. So it's really important that we educate employees and really everybody in the organization about intuitive eating. And we could easily do that through, lunch and learns, webinars, online resources. We could even bring in dietitians or coaches if some people want some more, individual support. And really leaders are so important for this, to promote this. As well as maybe having some employee-led initiatives about it as well, so that we can, because oftentimes there's certain cultural norms at work, and so we have to really shift that. We have to, set an example that, yes, it is okay to actually step away from your desk during lunch. We actually want you to do that. And ideally, I want to say, establishing flexible eating hours. I understand that's sometimes not possible depending on the type of organization. But of course, that would help again more with that intuitive eating approach, actually eating when we're hungry versus you have to eat at 2 o'clock because that's when your break is. So if that's possible, a really, really big one is, again, creating that eating environment that is inviting, that is relaxing. And oftentimes things like, natural light. So if you do have an outdoor space, having people go there, or just creating, I guess, a nicer environment, maybe bringing in natural elements, putting flowers, putting placemats, nice plates, so that people actually want to come and gather, and really making it about the food and getting to know each other versus work. So we want to really leave work out of that eating environment. The other thing that can really help with intuitive eating and just sort of integrating that a little bit more is to offer maybe healthy snacks, offer smoothies to employees, and having that displayed and having that out there, or bringing it into meetings as well. The other thing, one other idea would be water coolers. Like we can have really, and I've seen this actually in companies, really great water coolers with fruit infusions, herbal infusions, so that people really want to drink more, right? Which is another really important way. So there's lots and lots of things we can do, and we have to kind of think about, maybe is there something we want to take that we want to not do anymore? Is there something we want to add? Maybe it's just adding one little element at a time. It doesn't mean we have to completely, restructure everything at all. It can be just making very, very little changes. But especially, I guess, letting everybody know that we encourage everybody to take a break, and that we encourage everybody to eat together, because that's really, really huge.
Yeah. And I would say, when I work with organizations as well, I always talk to them about the importance of making sure that we do first an assessment of the current culture and environment, because every environment is going to be different. And we want to make sure that we have a good understanding of what the current situation is, and looking at our values and our mission of the organization as well, because anything that we change and we want to implement, we want to make sure that it is in alignment with our values and our culture. And of course, leaders play an important role there in making sure that conversations and discussions too that are sort of steered away from those stigmatizing conversations as well, because we hear a lot from people that are saying that, I feel judged when I'm bringing in my food into the to a workspace, and so I really feel like I need to eat away from everybody. And that's really not what we're looking for here. And the leaders play a really important role in modeling that type of behavior and steering their conversation away from any judgment placed on food or eating, right? So that's my only closing there. So really making sure that that we model that behavior, and that we're looking at what is going to work within this particular organization, and then adding in resources and support that will really benefit those elements that contribute to the intuitive eating in the workplace. And that's where, if you want to have a conversation with us about how to do that and what are some support that we can offer, that please reach out. Our coaches and dietitians work with hundreds of clients every month through the EAP, but also directly through an organization where we can come in and really help employees in creating that additional support and accountability, and creating a personalized plan for them. So I want to thank you very much, Bettina, for joining me here
You're very
in
welcome.
this chat today. If anyone has any suggestions, ideas on what you want us to talk about next time, we try to bring in experts to have casual conversations about topics related to workplace well-being and wellness. So if you have any ideas, please reach out, info@12weekstowellness.com, or reach out to us on LinkedIn. And yeah, happy Friday, everybody. And thank you. Bye.